about choosing a little, and she was
Well,
always
practice
isolating
it.
herself,
Yeah.
wouldn't go with the rest of them.
There was a lady there that was
Centercase
homeless
speaker.
I know.
She was
I think you should
older.
be- I think you should be up here.
and petite.
I'll
All stand, we'll say our flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Lord, I love you. God, I thank you for this evening. Lord, I know it's a cold night, and I pray for those that are not as fortunate as us that have a warm building to be in right now, that you'll keep them safe tonight. God, as we're gathered here, give us wisdom, give us discernment. And Lord, I know we have upcoming decisions to make for our local races, for state races, for national races. And God, I ask that your wisdom be upon our choices for every vote that we cast. Bless this meeting tonight. Keep us safe as we travel home in a few moments. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. As I said, this is Jamie Dodd, or Saline County District Court, and Saline County District Clerk. And J.R. Place was also supposed to be here tonight to help with Jamie and what's going on in 2024, but they started late session this afternoon, and so he's still in Topeka. And first of all, I would like for everybody to silence their phones, and mine will be going off only until I answer the phone call, because Roger Marshall wants to call in this evening and give his regards. So we'll go ahead and get the meeting started. Jamie can talk as long as you want. And once you're done, we'll be open for questions. Okay?
Okay, can everybody hear me? Or do I need the microphone? Chad, I'm not asking you. As you said, I'm Jamie Doss. I'm the county clerk and election officer for Saline County. I've actually been with the county for 27 years. I'm pretty close to doing 30 elections at this point. I was the deputy clerk from 2011 to 2016, and then was elected in 16 and took over as county clerk in 2017. So, I have a little bit of experience in the election process. So I want to kind of start with our next election coming up, which is new to a lot of us. The last one we had was in 1992. So the presidential preference primary is March 19th. And this is only the third time in Kansas they've held this. So we had one in 1980 on April Fool's Day, one in April of 1992, and then obviously March 19th of this year. So obviously the function of the state parties is to nominate their delegates for the national convention. And that's what this presidential preference primary is. It's to help the parties in their selection process. So when you go out to vote on March 19th, you're not actually voting necessarily for the winner at that point. You're just giving your vote towards who you want your party to support. So that's what it means by preference, is giving the preference at their national convention on who they want. The party rules.
Jamie, I'm gonna have to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine.
Hello. Yes, Roger, I'll put you on microphone so that everybody can hear you. All right? Okay, you can go.
The DC at the moment, hoping it's safe and safe. Rosemary, do we have a good connection? It's hard for me to read any feedback. We're doing okay?
Yes, we are.
Okay, there we go. Well, great. I thought we were doing a Zoom would be a little bit more interactive, but anyone happy to be on the speakerphone. I think maybe I would just start by stopping and celebrating what happened in Iowa last night. President Trump had a very resounding victory, by 30 points. The previous largest victory was 12 points. So I think it sends a huge message to everybody that he is the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. And my message is, I hope everybody else, it's time for them to get out, put their swords away, and let the Republican Party start spending our money and our energy to get the White House back. There's nothing more important right now than, as far as politically speaking, of us getting the White House back. And I think President Trump has plenty of things going on right now in his world. I think it'd be great for him to just start focusing on Joe Biden rather than having to go through much more of this primary. So lots of good news there. And I'll be happy to, is there some questions from the audience, or you want me just to keep going? I'm happy to stop, and I sort of want to give you all a chance to ask any questions that you have as well.
Anybody want any questions? They said just keep talking.
Okay, I think we'll talk about the border just for a second. I don't think I have to tell anybody that the number one most immediate threat to our national security is our border. 10 million people across the border under Joe Biden, 1.7 million gotaways. Those are people that the Border Patrol officers can see, but they don't have the ability to go apprehend them. In addition, I'm going to mention 1.5 million parolees. So Joe Biden has paroled 1.5 million people. You know, typically that's maybe 10,000 people a year or something like that, but over 1.5 million people. My number one priority right now is to secure the border. That's my number one priority probably for over a year now. There are some negotiations happening to that end. I'm not very optimistic. Whenever I talk about this issue, I talk about it as a national security issue, but Joe Biden talks about this as an immigration issue. And if the truth be known, he'd be happy just to leave the situation exactly as it is right now. He's very happy to have 10,000 people cross the border every day. His motivation is to fill America with people that he thinks that'll become Democrats so that he can control a purple district, a purple state, maybe get a few more congressional seats in some of these states. I don't believe he's sincere at all. We've made some progress on a few of the issues, the asylum issue in particular, but no progress on his parole issues. To take the step, the next step, it was a week or two ago, my weeks are running together, but I was on the Senate floor introducing a vote of no confidence on Secretary Mayorkas, that it would be the feeling of the Senate that he does not have our confidence. The Democrats blocked that vote. We did that the night before the House was going on with their impeachment hearing on Alejandro Mayorkas. I think he should be impeached. I think, number one, he broke his oath. He took an oath to fulfill the law of the land and to protect us from enemies, domestic and foreign. He's not protected us from our enemies. He's done just the opposite. Hundreds of terrorists into our country, thousands of people tens of thousands of people from an alien watch list, 24,000 Chinese nationals. What more do I need to say that he's not protected us? He's not enforced the law of the land. There are laws that he's supposed to maintain operational control. That's the Secure Fence Act, I believe, of 2006. He's supposed to maintain operational control. If you have 10,000 people crossing the border illegally every day, that's not operational control as well. So I think he's broke his oath. He's not enforced the law of the land, and he's broke the law of the land. I'll go back to the parole issue. He's broke the law of the land. The parole issue with the law says you're supposed to do this person by person, individual case by individual case. He's been paroling tens of thousands of people at a time. So he's purposely breaking the law. I think he should be impeached. I think we should send a message that we're firing Secretary Mayorkas today. We're going to fire Joe Biden in 300 days. The next big issue I would expect to talk to you about that's going on up here is keeping the government funding open. So we run out of funding again this Friday. Whether I like it or not, there's going to be a continuing resolution to keep the government open for another, probably until March. The good news from that is that it's going to give Speaker Johnson a chance to go through those 12 appropriation bills one at a time in the House, shine the light of day on them, as opposed to, let me emphasize this, that Chuck Schumer's goal is an omnibus. His goal is to put all these packages, these funding packages, there's 12 of them, to put them all together into one bill, and you wait and see, he's going to throw on the Ukraine funding on top of that. What I'm seeing up here right now is the Democrats want no part of Israel funding, and of course they don't want any part of any type of border security either. Even their support for Ukraine funding, I think, is a little loose. The only reason they're supporting the Ukraine funding is this is the only potentially what Joe Biden would call his only really national security or his world presence success is this Ukraine war. Now, I would not call it a success. 200,000 people have died. There's been no progress in a year. They burned through $113 billion of your tax money, but Joe Biden considers that a success, so the Democrats are protecting it. But what I believe that Chuck Schumer wants to do is to bundle all these financial bills together, all the appropriations bills together, give them the Ukraine funding as well, and we'll see if they're going to give us anything on the border or not. When Chuck Schumer gets all that funding together, he will rewrite the bills. He will build his own bridges to nowhere, and the American people get the short end of the stick. I'm going to stop and catch my breath. And is there any other issues y'all would like for me to talk about?
I'd like to know what kind of unity we have here in Kansas with the Congress here.
What type of unity we have in Kansas?
Yeah,
I
with
missed
our
the last part of it.
Yeah.
That was it, Roger.
What type of unity we have in Kansas as far as...
On what issues are we unified?
What issues are we unified?
Well, as Republicans or as Kansans?
Republican.
Republicans.
Yeah, I think that we're unified that we want to secure the border. I think we're unified that we believe in the sanctity of life. I believe that we're unified that we want to balance the budget. I'm going to say a caveat, though. Nobody wants their government program shut down, and it's going to be painful to balance a budget. I think that Republicans, I bet 80-90% of Kansans support President Trump. We're not Democrats. We're not lemmings. The Democrats will fall in line and all vote the same, but we as Republicans typically have a little bit more free spirit. But I think on some of those major issues we are unified on together. Those are the first ones I think of that we're unified. I think that we as Kansas are unified that we want parents to control our schools, local parents controlling their schools, that they don't want the federal government controlling it. I think, constitutional rights. We should stop and talk about that for a second. Joe Biden has made an all-out assault on our God-given constitutional rights. I think that we're unified that we want our constitutional rights protected, that most Republicans believe that the Second Amendment is what protects the First Amendment. Even most recently, this past 2 weeks, Joe Biden issued a new rule that for foster families, if you will not embrace this transgender issue, you would not be eligible to be a foster parent. And they're going to eliminate Christian organizations from being foster parents and adopting children. I think that's an assault of our constitutional freedom of religion. Once upon a time, my parents would say, they would ask me to say about something about somebody, my parents say, oh, that's a good Christian family. It was a good thing to be a good Christian family. That was the ultimate compliment. And now Joe Biden's saying, if you're a Christian family, you're not good enough to be a foster parent. And that is just the latest example of their assault on our constitutional rights. Who would have thought 6 years ago, when I ran for the House, got elected in 2016, that I'd be fighting against an administration whose CDC promotes men breastfeeding, a federal government that promotes biological boys competing against girls, and Christian families can't be foster parents. I think that Kansans are united to say that's enough. It's enough. It's enough. We've had it. We're fighting back. Elections do have consequences. And folks, November can't come soon enough.
Okay. Just speak loud.
Senator Kennedy, I think January 10th, I might be wrong, but he was on the floor, asking for a vote about small businesses having to try to get a loan, that they had to answer a horrible survey, whether to know if they were male, female, if they were heterosexual, bisexual, or if they were gay or lesbian. Do you remember anything about that and if it passed?
And who do you think had it on the floor? I'm trying to remember.
Senator Kennedy,
Okay. Senator Kennedy, I sit right next to each other, and we typically sit beside each other at lunch. I vaguely remember that one, but I'm sure we lost it. We've done lots of things like that. By the way, I'm leading the league up here in most veto threats by the president and actual vetoes by the president. But I think it's called a Congressional Review Act, and I'm pretty sure that we lost that one. Again, the Democrats will stand right in line, and I don't recall for sure, but I sure don't remember it passing, and if it did pass, Joe Biden's going to veto it. So, sorry.
Someone else?
Is it true that that immigrants that come across the border, if they commit a crime, they can be sent back across the border?
I'm sorry, it's split. Yeah, can you come up to the microphone, or Rick, can you just tell me again up closer?
If an immigrant comes across the border and commits a
Right.
crime, can that person, and is found to commit the crime, can we send them back across the border?
Well, of course we could, but Joe Biden's doing everything he can to keep that from happening. I think it's another reason to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. It's one more reason to impeach him. They've been derelict in their duty to do that. The answer is yes. Yes, we could. And we should. And I think that's the law of the land for the most part. But instead we do just the opposite. You know, we feed them, we house them, we give them free health care. We push students out of their schools. Joe Biden really was trying to open up the VA hospitals to illegal immigrants. And I think we got that shut down. But it just burned my soul. You know, this is what my parents asked me, how in the world can we put illegal migrants ahead of our veterans? Time and time again. So it is an uphill battle.
Senator Marshall, I'm the father of a 13-year-old daughter, athlete, and today it just came out that the Supreme Court had ruled against an Indiana school district about the transgender bathroom and locker issues. What kind of precedents do you think that is setting right now for going on for the next year?
Yeah, so I've not read their decision. I saw the headline. It was really in one of the articles I was getting caught up on today. So the Supreme Court rejected the school's request to defend a policy that restricts your bathroom access. So I'm shocked, to be honest. And you know, one of the good things, I never professed to be a good constitutional lawyer, but Mike Lee is one of my best friends up here, and between him and Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, all three of them clerked at the Supreme Court. So we get together at least once a week, actually twice a week, and discuss things like this. So I'm going to discuss it with them, and I'm just baffled by this ruling.
Because government's supposed to start at the local level, and school board members are elected. So why is the government stepping in and saying an elected school board can't enforce their own policies? That's something I'd like you to ask Senator Cruz.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just really baffled. I don't know what I'm missing on this one, to be honest. So it's caught me off guard as well. But I'm very much in favor of local schools being controlled by parents. We don't want anyone to be discriminated against, but we don't want our young ladies to be discriminated against either. I've yet to meet the person that can look me in the eye and say, this is fair. I've yet to meet a person that's looked me in the eye and say, hey, I'm perfectly fine with a biological boy being in the gym, changing uniforms with my daughter in there. I've yet to meet a person that'll look me in the eye and say, we're perfectly fine with biological boys sharing the restroom with girls. I'm sure they're out there, so I'm gonna have to take a little bit deeper dive into this one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Where are we at with Israel?
Where are we at with Israel? Well, again, I've been a big proponent. I've had bills on the floor, I think 3 or 4 times asking for funding for Israel, but each time they've been rejected, which is very, very disappointing. My Republican caucus, I think to a person, supports Israel, wants to fund Israel, send a message to Iran, but you've seen what our president has done. He has backed down from Iran. He won't hold them accountable. We're up to 180 at least times that Iran, through its proxies, have attacked American troops. And until we fire back somehow, some way at Iran themselves, this is going to keep happening. The Democrats are running from Israel funding. Absolutely running from them. So we'll see if we'll get anything done on it. I just don't know anything's going to happen with it or not. I was really shocked. I didn't really understand how divided their own caucus was on Israel funding. But the Republicans support it. The Democrats are kind of got a mixed batch there.
Okay, Senator, I think that's all the questions we have.
Okay, let me look at my quick list here as well. We didn't really talk about Ukraine funding, but it's all the same bucket. This Ukraine funding, Israel funding, and the border funding, they're all tied up together one way or another. I don't know where that's going to end up. It may end up as a separate bill. It may end up on part of this omnibus. We'll just have to wait and see. I've been the one saying we need to hold off on funding Israel. Funding Ukraine, excuse me. I'm walking the votes now. We have one more vote left tonight. I'm the person that said no more funding for Ukraine until we secure a border. And even then, I want a plan. I want to know, someone needs to convince me that we're doing more than just throwing good money after bad money as well. So I think, I tell you, I've never been more professionally frustrated than I am right now. I see solutions. We're not allowed to do them. Joe Biden has put this country in quite a bind right now. It could take years to undo what he's done. And I just can't, state enough how important it is we get out there in November and vote. You guys, I wanted to say thank you for some of the good things that you've done. I appreciate your support personally. I appreciate what you did with your school boards there in the Salina area. It doesn't go unnoticed. People ask me, well, what can they do to help me? And that's exactly what you can do to help me. Make sure that we get elected, whether it's the school board or the county treasurer and all those positions, that we have God-fearing people with traditional Kansas values in those positions is so important. I'll try to keep the bad stuff coming out of D.C. We're between a rock and a hard place right now. The Democrats control the White House, they control the Senate. And we have just a small majority in the, and it's just
We're losing you, Roger.
and vice versa. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm walking up for votes. So I appreciate everyone's support and just hope you all have a great new year. I'm rooting for us. I believe in us. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're
took some of the local stuff that's coming up here. Like I said, in 2023, the legislature passed House Bill 2053 to have a presidential preference primary, which is March 19th. It's estimated, the state will spend $4 to $5 million to pay for this election for the parties, which is, at least it's not all coming directly from our local dollars. The deadline today was for the political parties to decide who could participate in their elections. So of course, as in the previous primaries, you have to be affiliated with the parties. So whether a Democratic Party or Republican Party, it's going to be a closed primary just like we normally see in our August elections. So that deadline was today, so they had to tell us who could vote and who could participate in their presidential preference primary for their parties. The next deadline coming up is candidate filing deadline, so that is actually noon on Friday of this week. So currently we have 2 Democratic candidates and 1 Republican candidate that will show up on the ballot in March. And then you also have an option of none of the names shown. So if you want your party to be uncommitted to any of the presidential candidates that are on the ballot, you can choose that if you would like your delegation to be uncommitted. The filing fee has changed in the legislature. They passed a $10,000 filing fee, which previous in 1980 and 1992, it was $100. So a little bit of inflation, but I think they were trying to narrow it down to make sure that the candidates that are on the ballot were really wanting to run for president at the national level. So yeah, a little bit of a jump. Voter registration. The voter registration deadline, that date is, all the dates for this election are totally different than what we see in August and November. So the voter registration deadline is 30 days for this election. So because the 19th is a holiday, it's actually February 20th is the deadline for voter registration. So if you need to update your address, your name, you want to change your party, if you're with the party and want to go change to another party, that deadline is the 20th. It's coming faster than you realize. So like I said, the party affiliation is required, so you have to be affiliated. So I was just running numbers of our current registration just for information, because I'm a numbers person, obviously. So our current registration numbers in Saline County is the Democratic Party has 6,914. The Republican Party has 17,336. The unaffiliated voters, and in Kansas, we have unaffiliated. We don't have an independent party, so it just means unaffiliated in Kansas just means you're not associated with a party. We have 11,542 that are not with the party, and then the Libertarian Party has 465. Just right before I left the office today, I got an email from the Secretary of State's office letting us know that there is a new party in Kansas that will be in the media tomorrow. They will be announcing it tomorrow, but it's No Labels Kansas, if I say that correctly. I might have said that wrong. I can't remember if it's No Labels Kansas, or one of those two different variations, but that'll be a new party that'll be in Kansas to choose from this year. So, and that was effective immediately. So
Jamie, if a voter is affiliated with the new party, or Libertarian, or Democrat, Republican, they can vote in the primary. But if they're unaffiliated, they cannot, right?
So we'll start with the presidential preference primary. So you have to be, it's for the 2 major parties, so it's for the Democratic parties and the Republican parties. So you have to be affiliated with one of those to be able to vote. Now, and you beat me to the punch, so unaffiliated voters actually can choose to affiliate.
At that time.
at the time. So they can choose any time, even after the end of voter registration, because they haven't affiliated with a party, they can choose up to election day and on election day what party they want to vote for.
So they can do it at the polls.
So they can do it at the polls. When they go out there, they'll have to fill out a voter registration card, affiliate with whichever party they would choose to vote on, and then they would receive that ballot. Yeah, you have to be affiliated with that party to get their ballot, so. And that'll be the same in the August primary, is you have to be affiliated with that party. The only thing you have to remember is if you're with a party and want to change to a different party, you have to do that by the voter registration deadline. But if you're not affiliated with a party, you can choose on election day for early voting, so. And I think that gets confusing. I know it's confusing for election workers, to realize that, now obviously the libertarians, they have their own caucus procedures and the way they do, and they are on the November ballot. So the primaries are just for the Republican and Democratic parties.
So I just wanna make sure I understood you correctly then.
Mhm.
If they're unaffiliated, they have to affiliate by February 20th, or?
They have to affiliate, they could do it, but they can do it on election day. Unaffiliated can do it on election day.
election day.
Yes. So they can do it at any time. So they don't have that 20th deadline. They can do it during advance voting. If they come in early, they can fill out a form and do it on election day. But they have to then affiliate. Now, then you are affiliated with that party, and you stay affiliated with that party until you fill out a new card to go back to unaffiliated. So, but yes, they will be, they will have to affiliate to be voting on that ballot. So. The advanced voting, that deadline is also February 20th. So if you want to request a ballot by mail, so if you want to receive one to your home, that deadline is also February 20th, which is different from our August and November elections. So it's the same 30 days prior to the election. So makes for a lot of difference. Between the two elections, I think it's gonna be really confusing, so it'll be good to get this information out there for people to realize that that deadline is the same, because that's not our normal procedures. The advance by mail, if you get a ballot at home, the deadline to actually receive the ballots is also different. So it has to be the day at the close of polls, so it has to be in our office or at a polling location by 7 p.m. on election day, which is not the case for August and November, where we follow postmark procedures, which we will not have in the presidential preference primary. Has to be by the close of polls. Ballots go out by mail on February 28th. We will also start in-person voting on February 28th. So we will start that the same day. So you can, and all in-person voting is done at the courthouse, at the city county building. And that will be 8 to 5. And then we'll have a Saturday voting as well, so. And early in-person ends always at the noon the day before the election. So it's always that noon cutoff. A lot of people think they can come in all day on that last day. No, it ends at noon. So you have to make sure you get into our office before that 12 o'clock hits. Are there any questions so far? A lot of it's just kind of normal days. A lot of this will be on our website. Because I did not bring a handout. I have mine, but I didn't bring extras. But a lot of it's on our website. Some of it's on Secretary of State's site as well. But county-specific stuff you're going to want to find on our website, like our times that we do Saturday voting. Not every county does that. I started that when I took office because obviously we have people that work out of town, travel, whatever, we have a Saturday voting, so that's gonna be specific to whatever county you're in. So make sure you're checking with your clerk if you're in another county, clerk's office to make sure that what days they're open for voting.
What was the date in March?
The election day is March 19th, yes.
I have a question.
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier that for the presidential preference, there was 1 Republican and 2 Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people that are affiliated with Republicans can only vote for the Republican?
Correct.
And there's
So-
only one?
Right now,
Who,
yeah.
who are the people that can use it? List who they are?
Yeah, I have the list right here. So for the Democratic candidates, you have Joe Biden. You also have Dean Phillips, he's from Minnesota. And then you have Donald Trump on the Republican side. So that's all so far. And like I said, that deadline is Friday at noon, so obviously that could change. That is on the Secretary of State site. They have the candidate list up there all the time for each of the elections. So once we get the certified copy from the state, then we'll have our information out there.
So would it be accurate to say if there's only one Republican in the list by the time that day comes, it doesn't do us much good to go vote that day?
No, it's always good to go vote. Because we will be out there, my election workers will be out there, but they have Donald Trump will be on there as the list is currently. Then you will also have none of the names shown. So that's still an option for someone that doesn't want to choose former President Trump as their candidate for the delegation. But no, it's always a reason to get out and get your sticker on election day, and make sure you have your voice heard. But yes, there is none of the names shown that will be on there as well. I always feel like I don't know if you've seen the movie Brewster's Millions, where he's like none of the above. That's kind of it sounds like to me, if you're familiar with that. Could just be my age, I don't know. So for the presidential preference primary, like I said, our procedures as the county clerk's office and election office, as always, is administration. We certify our totals to the Secretary of State's office. They certify those to the party. The party has their roles on how they choose their delegations, both on the Democratic and Republican side. So our process is the same. The dates are a little bit different for the voters, and I think that's where the confusing part will be. And we'll try to do our best. Obviously, this helps to get that information out there, as well as we'll have it on our website and social media. So if you have any questions, please call our office on that. And if you want to be an election worker, we have a lot of great election workers. So if you want to be an election worker, definitely sign up for that as well, because we can always use the help. So, are there any other questions on the presidential preference primary?
Is this information on the website already, or is that going to be soon?
I just finalized the calendar just in the last week, because we just got it from the state Friday, and then I double checked ours. So I think it's on there. If not, it's gonna be on tomorrow.
Election workers are paid, aren't they?
They are paid.
How much?
So if I just changed it. I think it's 150. Yeah, 150 for the day. So it's still a long day, and it's still not much money. It's not much money, but it is a long day. It is a long day, but I appreciate it. So.
You don't have more to do.
No, true.
Beyond the world.
Yeah.
5 a.m. to 9 p.m.
And then, I know in 1992, we had 31% turnout in Saline County. I'm really struggling trying to figure out where we're gonna be. I'm hoping it's the same, but like you said, with only having one name on the Republican side, I'm not sure what that's gonna do as far as the turnout for that, but I'm hoping we'll at least have the 31%, but I know that's gonna be hard to judge, to see, especially with our the way the precincts are now. It's so different for me to do, so.
I just wonder if the public is gonna understand why there's this new primary, what it's for.
Yeah, I know the Secretary of State's office has been putting information out there. We're trying to put stuff out there. I've already talked on the radio and then to the league, but yeah, it's a new process, but they're familiar with caucuses. So we've had, a caucus in Saline County. I mean, I remember in 2016 standing out there, well, me trying to get signatures to get on the ballot, but standing out there and seeing all the people that came, and we had quite a bit of turnout. I know Don was at the Democratic one and I was at the Republican one, and we both saw a really good turnout. So I'm hoping that with what this state puts out and what we put out, that people will understand, and it's new, so it'll be different. So, any other questions? So then we have 2 more elections after that.
You're gonna earn your salary this year.
Yes, and hopefully, keep being able to do this, because I do love it. It's a lot of work, but I do love what I do. So, the next election after the March 19th is the August 6th primary. That is obviously for everything under the president. So that is for, the senators, representatives. Our state senate district 24 is up. Our house reps are up, and in Saline County, we are 69, 71st, and 107th, which that changed with redistricting. Our state board of education, which we are now District 7 instead of 6. We'll have, obviously, county commission districts. We'll have 2 of those up this year, District 2 and 3. Our county clerk is up, county treasurer, register of deeds, our attorney, our sheriff, and for people who live out in the township, your township trustee and treasurers are up, so if you live out in the county. And then we have precinct committee people are up this year, so the men and women of both the Republican and Democratic parties, so.
How many pages long is the?
It's not so bad when you get in August, because it's party specific, so it makes it a little bit easier to manage, but when you think of the programming side, Tammy and my deputy and I do all the programming in our office. That's 288 positions. So, because we have 72 precincts, and obviously, so it's a lot of proofing, but yeah. So we'll have the precinct men and women. Obviously, they're elected in August versus nominating. The other offices are nominated to the November election.
Is that deadline for registration in June as well?
Yes.
June?
So the deadline for the local and state offices is June 3rd, because the June 1st at noon is a Saturday, so that's moved to June 3rd. So June 3rd at noon is the deadline to run or to withdraw for those offices. If you're looking to be a precinct committee man or woman, that form has to be notarized, so make sure you have that notarized if you choose to do that.
How many elected positions can you hold at a time?
You can hold a few. Some of them you can't hold together, but some you can. You could be a precinct committee person and the county clerk, that I know.
I'm looking for a paying gig.
Yeah, precinct committee person isn't one of those.
So I get paid 150 a day for election day.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely.
450 for the year.
Yeah, there you go.
Joe Biden's inflation, that won't be much good.
Somebody's got to pay for Social Security, and all this.
Yeah. And we will have judges in November. The judges are always on the November ballot, so the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court, and Judicial District. So if you're looking for a paying gig, it also costs to get on the ballot, or you can do it by petition. So the fees start at, the lowest is county commission for $237, and all the way up to our county attorney and sheriff, which is $1,019. So those vary.
That's more than 20.
Yeah, more than the 20. So like I said, primary is August 6th for this year. And the deadline for filing is the same for changing your party for the August primary, is June 3rd at noon. So a lot of dates I'm throwing at you, so please check our website, because I know it's a lot. So biggest thing is making sure your voter registration is up to date. You can go out and check on this Kansas Voter View. If you look on the state's website, you can go out there, put in your name and birthday at any time, and you can check and see how you're registered. So you can check your party, your address, and make sure everything is how it should be. You can even see your voter history. If you're curious, hey, did I vote in that election? All of that information is out there for you. And then when we get the sample ballots, then those will be out there once they're available. Hopefully we'll have, I believe, rotation certified to us, like in the next 2 weeks after the, candidate filing deadline, we should have the official ballot rotation, be able to do the sample ballot, so. I think that's one of the things I'm really proud of, when I took office, is we took over programming our own ballots and our own elections, so everything is done at the local level. There is nothing that goes outside of our office. It's all approved, within, our group. We do have them available for people to come in and look at them if they want to, but that's all done in-house, and so we have a lot of security measures that we put into place to make sure that everything is secure and safe and safeguarded for. I'm increasing that constantly, over the next, I've had somebody in my office today giving me quotes on stuff, so we're really doing a good job of trying to keep all of that stuff secure. So you can't get into our election equipment room, that's all secured, separate from any other department, so they can't get within our system for our election stuff. Our ballot stock is under lock and key. Our computer that programs is actually in a CPU locked cabinet that you can't get in unless you get the passcode to do our safe, to get the key to get into there, and then have all the passcodes to get in there. So we put a lot of security measures in place, and we continue to do so. So I'm pretty confident in Kansas specifically, and then in our county, on some of the things that we put into place to make sure that our elections are secure. I know there's been conversations, obviously, over the last 4 years on other states. Well, obviously, Kansas wasn't new to voting by mail. Kansas wasn't new to some of the things that were new to other states where they had issues and hiccups in what they had going on. But our system and our laws were already in place that made a lot of our stuff very secure, and I'm confident in knowing that this election is going to be the same. I think that we have a lot of great election workers. We have great staff in our office that do a wonderful job, and so I'm confident in that, and I hope that if you have questions on something that you see or hear that you're concerned about, you bring that forward, because I want to be aware of it so that, you know, I can either address it, or if it's something that's happening, I can address it there, and if it's something that's not, I can help educate whoever needs to understand kind of our processes, because they're different all over the nation. They have their own rules, so we're confident in kind of what we do, and our advanced mail ballots, our system, you have to fill out an application. Everyone's like, well, I got 6 ballots in the mail. Well, you probably got an application that somebody, third parties send those out to everybody, and so you will get them filled out by this candidate or this group or whatever, but that isn't actual ballot until that application is in our office, entered into our system, checked by your driver's license, your signature. A ballot doesn't go out of our office. No one else has access to those but us. So once we get that application in, we check everything to make sure it's right. If it doesn't match your information, we'll call you and say, hey, we got this application. And if you go, well, I didn't send that in. Well, a ballot's not going out in the mail. I mean, there's that wonderful checks and balances. And if I'm not sure if your signature looks a little bit different, we have other people that check it. It's not just one person, because we've all gone through signature verification training to make sure that we can, which is actually kind of interesting and really scary. If you've ever had a court person, one that does court and looks at signatures of like criminals, and then looks at your signature, you're always like, what is she gonna find on? It was really very interesting. She actually knew my whole personality just by looking at my signature. So we took that kind of training, and it was great, but it's kind of scary, but it was interesting to see. But yeah, so we've all gone through that, and so we check your signature on the application and your driver's license to make sure it's correct. We also, when your ballot comes back, we check your signature and make sure it matches as well. And then the other thing that we do, and do a good job, I think, in Saline County I can speak for, because it's what we do, is our voter registration database is maintained daily. So everyone's like, well, how are dead people voting? Well, we're going through obituaries, we're going through funeral homes. We go through everything that we can do to make sure that, and we get Social Security death match. We go through all of those things to make sure that our list is clean and up to date as humanly possible. Now, if somebody's was registered at your house and then they moved, well, until we get something signed by them, we can't take them off the rolls. I mean, you don't want just someone just saying, oh, they don't live here anymore, whatever. So it protects the voter and it protects us, but they do, that mail needs to be returned to us so we can get them on that list of going, hey, they no longer live there. And then they start getting us researched and sent out information saying, is this your correct address? It takes several mailers before we can actually inactivate someone. And so we appreciate if you get something for someone from the election office that isn't yours, please just put return to sender, put it back in the post office, it comes back to us. We checked a lot of different avenues of, if somebody updates their driver's license, then that comes through our office as well. So then that gets updated. And we can see the whole statewide system. So if you were originally registered in Dickinson County, you went out and got a driver's license in Saline County, we'll pull in that Dickinson County record and bring it to us. So that record is following that person around the state. So it's always updated. So we're doing a really good job of making sure we're constantly cleaning up that database all the time. So any other questions or concerns? Like I said, it's a lot, there's a lot to it, but.
So the presidential preference primary, does that have anything to do with electors or not? No?
No, it's just the delegates for the national convention.
So what is the deadline to be registered to vote in November?
That is October, I wanna say 16th, but let me double check that, I could be mistaken. No, it's 15th or 16th, it's 21 days. Voter registration deadline for November is October 15th. Well, it's 21 days before the election, except for March, then it's 30 days, so. Anything else? That's really all I have, unless you have questions for me.
That's a lot of good information.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm actually excited for 2024. It's gonna be busy. I am up this year, and I have filled out my treasurer report, but I have not technically filed yet. But I will be filing for 2024 for re-election. Just to put that out there, I just have not gone through the paperwork stuff yet.
Do you have to pay it?
I have to fill out paperwork and I have to pay the fee as well. I just haven't done that yet, you know, you think it's right in my office, but I just haven't had the time to do it. But I will be filing for re-election for this year, so.
And Jamie, you said that a lot of this information will be on the website.
Yeah.
For this Lincoln.
Yep. Like I said, if anyone else watches this or whatever, please make sure you're checking with your county clerk, because your early voting times might be a little bit different than Saline County will be, but.
You have copies of it available if we don't want to do it from the website?
Yes, I don't have it with me,
Yeah,
but yeah, you
you can go down
can,
and get
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I didn't think about bringing extra copies with me, I should have, but. Okay, well, thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Before we get done, remember, she said she needs poll workers. 3 elections, we need poll workers.
Yes.
Early voting and the day of voting. Before we all leave, we do have a donation jar back there, $1 or $2 in it to help pay for the rental of the building. And Chad, you want to lead us in a closing prayer?
Lord, once again, we come before you, and God, we've heard a lot of information, a lot of dates, and God, I pray that your hand will be over this election, protected, guide our minds, guide our hearts, and truly, God, I pray that our desire is to have people elected that you would want to serve us as your people. Bless these candidates that are going to be running. Give them wisdom. Give us wisdom as well. Thank you for everybody who came out tonight. I pray a special blessing upon them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And those of you that can, you might want to put your chair back